In a typical week in South Africa, there are a staggering 500 murders, 4,500 violent assaults, and 126 kidnappings. An elite police unit is being used to combat the most dangerous work in the country. They are known as the Special Task Force. Every year, over 2 million holidaymakers visit South Africa, and protecting them is a high priority for the South African government. But organized gangs have recently begun to rob travelers at gunpoint as they leave the airport. The police have been tracking one gang, and tonight have asked for the task force's assistance. The team are all in plain clothes. Captain JJ is the commanding officer. Over the radio, they hear that the gang has attacked a young couple as they arrived home from the airport. Van, a task force officer, and JJ are in the lead car. Arriving at the scene, they find 2 gang members have been arrested, but 3 others have escaped by car. JJ and Van rush off in pursuit.
Wat 'n kar is dit? Sê my wat 'n kar is dit? Daar ry Corolla.
The suspects are in the red car, 200 meters ahead. They now realize they are being chased. In their haste to escape, the suspects drive through a busy intersection, ignoring red lights. Increasing their speed to 170 kilometers per hour, the suspects suddenly swerve onto a motorway slip road, taking them in the direction of the city center and busy downtown streets. With the road momentarily clear of other traffic, Van attempts to disable the vehicle. The occupants are still armed and dangerous, and there's a risk that the car might be leaking petrol. All 3 men survive. Captain JJ calls for an ambulance.
The reason I opened fire on the vehicle is they just committed armed robbery. We gave chase. We had information, confirmed information, that they were armed, and their modus operandi was to follow the people from the airport and rob them at their homes as they turned into the driveways. They were armed and dangerous, being a hazard to the public on the roads. We had to stop them.
Back at the scene of the robbery, the other suspects are questioned. And the young couple explain how they were attacked in their car as they arrived home.
They were holding their guns at us, or at the windows. Then I realized there's no way in which I can be able to run away.
I've never been pointed a gun at before in my life.
I was also afraid that we had our child, you see. It's a 7-month-old baby. So we were afraid that these guys are holding guns at us, and we don't know what they're going to do. It might be that they're going to shoot us, or it might be that they're going to shoot the child. I was very happy the way in which the police managed to save us from that situation.
The next morning, Van is on parade.
I joined the Special Task Force to be in one of the most elite units in the world. We do get the most dangerous work. When nobody else can do it or want to do it, then they'll ask for our help.
But saving life has its dilemmas.
The feeling you get before you shoot a person to save another person's life, it's a strange feeling. You don't get used to it. I haven't been in that many situations where I have to take the life of another human being.
After parade, Van returns to a surprise.
A very old and common joke in the Special Task Force, putting your phone on some foreign language.
The task force has a brief moment to relax. On the other side of town, police detectives have been hard at work on last night's tourist robbery gang. They now know the exact location of the remaining gang members and once again request the assistance of the Special Task Force. That night, the unit rolls into Hillbrow, the most dangerous section of central Johannesburg. The intelligence has given the task force 22 confirmed addresses to hit. Several suspects are taken into custody, but the unit is also searching for the gang leader. He is captured in one of the last flats to be raided. Their search reveals a firearm believed to have been used on previous robberies. The detectives recover dozens of suitcases belonging to the robbed tourists. The night has been a complete success.
Keep the back straight, that's it. That's good.
Stand up, look forward.
Breathing. Yeah, that's it.
Next morning, and the task force gym is full of activity.
These are some of the few apparatus that I exercise with every day, you know, to try and just keep in shape and so. Yes.
Physical training is very important, especially when you start reaching my age. And you have to run around after people in the bushes and above buildings. If you're not fit, then you lose. And if you snooze, you lose, and then they get away. So you have to try and keep fit. And I'm having a rough time, as you can see.
Being an elite team, the men constantly work on the skills needed for the various types of situations they encounter. Today, they are busy with an obstacle course.
It's almost like my second home, this, because well, my wife was here, I should probably tell you it's my first home because I'm more here than I am at home, so.
Inspector Warren Morris has been in the unit for 7 years.
Our primary job in the Special Task Force is hostage situations. To begin with, some of our basic kit that we use. Okay, this is the stun grenade that we use. Disorientates not only by the sound it gives, but it gives a large flash. Our side weapon is a 9mm pistol. Here's a handy piece of kit. It's a mono lens. It's a night vision. Shotgun, 12-bore shotgun, which is a bit shortened. We call it a Stompy. This is the MP5, used throughout the whole world by most special forces, including the SAS. My little sweetheart, Shadeen, and my little daughter. Always got a photos close by.
Warren is on standby for a large job, but is allowed a few hours off.
When our work gets busy, it really does get busy. We can be for weeks on end away working, not even being at home, not even getting to see my little girl. Most of our situations are extremely dangerous. There's definitely that little thought that's in the back of your mind about this may be the last time I get to see my little girl and my wife. We're given a couple of hours off, which has turned into a couple of minutes off. Luckily enough, my understanding and loving wife will hopefully treat me the same by the time I get home again. So, as it's, one can imagine, it plays a bit of havoc on your social life.
The task force has received information that a bank robbery may take place the next morning, or 9 a.m.
The information that we have are six suspects that will be robbing the bank from about 9 o'clock, between 9 and 10. Presently we are now 3 of us that are sitting here in the manager's office inside the bank. We've got another team down in another office in the bank, and we've got 2 members that are going to be watching the surveillance cameras inside the bank. And we're obviously going to wait and see if the robbery comes off and try and make some arrests. They just let us know on the radio that there'll be 4 suspects coming into the bank.
Warren changes into civvies and joins members for a briefing. Their plan is to enter the bank under the cover of darkness and wait in position until it opens the next morning. It's now just before 9 a.m.
The information that we have are six suspects that will be robbing the bank from about 9 o'clock, between 9 and 10. Presently we are now 3 of us that are sitting here in the manager's office inside the bank. We've got another team down in another office in the bank, and we've got 2 members that are going to be watching the surveillance cameras inside the bank. And we're obviously going to wait and see if the robbery comes off and try and make some arrests. They just let us know on the radio that there'll be 4 suspects coming into the bank. The info that we have of mostly hand pistols and 1 AK-47.
Warren is told the gang's lookout is outside. The task force moves into action as the gang enters the bank. Task force work is all about control, dominating a dangerous situation using their voices rather than their weapons.
Just stand there, don't worry. Hey, lie down. Lie still.
Also arrested is the bank guard, suspected to be the gang's inside man.
This gentleman I saw taking out his gun and throwing it on the ground. And as you see, the suspects have got with their weapons, with their pistols, are lying safely under our control.
The operation was timed to a fraction of a second. Another moment and the gang would have had time to draw their weapons. With South Africa averaging 500 bank robberies a year, it isn't long before the unit are called to yet another high-risk situation. Earlier that morning in Johannesburg, 3 suspects had surprised a bank manager and forced him at gunpoint to open the safe. The manager had secretly hit the panic button. When the local police arrived, they came under fire. In the confusion, the bank manager escaped.
Die stadium, soos wat hy sê, is daar geen gijzelaars binne, is net die 3 rowers. Dit van die ABS polismanne wat nou hier verhangelaar soek, een groep van... Die ook afgebreek? Ek weet nie. JJ sal jy vir my daar vat.
Now the armed suspects are trapped inside. JJ and his team are able to walk straight into the bank as the 3 suspects have hidden themselves somewhere in the upper floors.
Jy weet die laaste skak, nee. Of waar iewers is waar hierdie ding uitkom. Jy hoort hoe uit te kom of jy hoort onder uit te kom.
Half the team remain in the bank, while the rest hurry to the rear of the building. They've been told that there's an emergency exit into the bank from the car park. The armed suspects have been pinpointed to an air duct on the 3rd floor. The unit enters to flush them out. The moment they see the task force, the suspects give up. The arrest of bank robbers has become routine for the unit. But with South Africa suffering from 6,500 kidnappings and abductions per year, it's only a matter of hours before the men will be called out again. To the outside world, the day Nelson Mandela handed over the presidency to Thabo Mbeki, South Africa could celebrate its democracy and change. But on the streets, the police are struggling to combat a huge crime wave. In South Africa, a highly lucrative and violent business is kidnapping. Businessmen are lured into the country, abducted and held hostage. 8 days ago, a wealthy Romanian suffered the same fate. He is being ransomed for $300,000. The gang is known to have carried out previous violent kidnappings on foreign nationals.
We haven't even seen the gang before, but what we do know is of the one incident, or the both incidents, the first kidnapping of the Chinese person that they shot him in the leg, and the third one where he was executed, shot at point blank range in the head. So obviously they mean business, and we'll be as careful as possible and be as tactical as possible when we do these addresses.
A police undercover team has tracked the kidnappers to an address near Johannesburg.
Gaan julle vir die voordeur gaan? Ja. Ons skiet uit 'n manual deur vir agter. Okay, manual. Saam met Ben agter. Gaan.
kidnapped me a week ago from the hotel they took with the guns.
Is die cirkel nie so? Daar staan net vas. Sorry, ek kom raai. Ek kry binne die stortweg. Okay. Want ek trap my stad. Sien as iemand in die stort. Dan. Dis 'n kleiner rak, dink jy alles van ons? Nee.
Met 'n selfoon, met enigiets by hom. Hou dit by hom, staan net daar tot ondersoek
pak die selfoon hier in. Syne. Okay, right.
The task force had rescued the hostage just in time.
That one, another one to take me to kill me, to shoot me. That was the problem. And they said, put your coat on and let's go to the hotel. And I know what. And I was praying.
With the frail South African economy in need of foreign investment, protecting overseas businessmen from gangs like these is vital.
My friend Dirkies is sleeping on duty once again. And I just cannot tolerate this. Now I've got to wake him up another way, which hopefully he will not forget. So here we go.
Hostage rescue is solely the job of the Special Task Force. Their training is all about repetition until the tactical movements become second nature. In saving lives, there can be no margin for error. But they also have to train for the most difficult hostage rescue situation of all, a hijacked plane. It's a combination of stealth, speed, and daring. These were only training exercises. Tonight is the real thing.
We've got the hostage situation there. It's a guy that's holding his two sons hostage. What do you intend to do? Depends on his mood, how aggressive he is, all that kind of stuff. And if we don't get any reply at all, so that can only mean that he doesn't want to negotiate, and we have to eat the house.
It's 11 p.m. as they make their silent approach to a suburb of Pretoria. The men learn that tonight's situation started as a simple domestic dispute. When local police arrived, the father shot at them several times and then barricaded himself inside the house with the two small boys. As the distraught mother is led away, the hostage negotiators finally admit defeat. The task force takes over. With the father unstable and violent, the men fear for the children's safety.
England.
Within seconds, the unit takes control. The father immediately surrenders, and his loaded revolver is recovered for evidence. The two children are safely returned to their mother. In the last 19 years in South Africa, the Special Task Force has not lost a single hostage. It's a Saturday morning in a Johannesburg bank, 2 weeks before Christmas. The calm is shattered by an armed robber who has taken a bank guard hostage. As the customers flee the building, the robber points his weapon at the tellers, who are safe behind bulletproof glass, and demands to be let in. With their concern for the guard, the tellers open the security door. Police swiftly surround the bank. The robber is now trapped with hostages. The special task force has just been scrambled.
Come on, play with your legs, man! Fuck!
It's a race against time to Johannesburg through heavy traffic. With the task force minutes away, police negotiators are on the scene and persuade the robber to release all bar one of the hostages. The bank guard remains behind as the suspect's human shield. Civilians and the world's media are kept at a distance.
Dis die persoonlikhede het van die gijslaar, die een wat hulle aanhou.
Okay, dat is moeilijk, my maat.
A hostage negotiator, Superintendent Kutsia, keeps the robber talking. Captain JJ is in charge of this operation and orders a small team to secretly enter through the second floor of the building for a reconnaissance. Superintendent Kutsia returns from inside the bank with the suspect's demands.
Hy wil met die media praat en hy wil homself uithaal of 'n suicide by kop. Dis een van daai twee. Okay, ek vir julle t-shirt.
With the situation rapidly deteriorating, JJ decides on a plan. He is going to take the place of a female hostage negotiator.
Ek kan vir hom sê die baas het jou gestuur in die plek van Magdel want hulle wil vrouens uit hê.
Ek kan service aantrek, die onderhandelaar sit op 'n posisie waar ek kan kom, ek kan dalk jou daar sien. As ek jou laat weet dat ek soms vandag voor, kom net 'n paar minute.
Another team are sent in and take up their positions in the bank. Minutes later, they report back with a possible strategy. JJ must see the situation for himself. He soon returns to brief his men.
Wat ek sal doen, ek sal voor julle loop. Okay, ons ek sal laat julle saam met my in. Maar ek sal voor julle loop om beweeg julle te raam. Julle moet dood stil. Dan is dit hou staan reg.
As the hostage taker still wants to speak to the media, Captain JJ requests our cameraman to enter the bank with him. Unknown to the suspect, the team who entered through the second-story window have now worked their way down to the ground floor and are only yards away from their target. JJ must lure the suspect forward to the window and into their view.
Kelvin, hier is die man se perskaarte. Ek gaan nou laat jy kyk, jy sal sien hy het 'n kamera alles by hom. Alright, ek sal vir jou sê waar jy moet gaan en wat jy alles moet doen, okay? Alright, asseblief hou vir my die vuurwapen aan die loop vas en dan loop jy so met hom uit. Okay, dis 'n internasionale kameraman, hoor. Jy kan opstaan. Okay, jy kan vir my opstaan. Ja, maar hy kan nie deur hierdie glas kan hy nie neem nie. Jy moet voor hom staan wat hy maak. Jeff, explain to him the angle on the glass.
There's a big reflection here.
What are we going to do? The bank is closed entirely. Okay, Kelvin, staan vir my op. Okay, kom vir my om, so af, en dan daar waar die, en dan aan die ander kant hier. Nee, Kelvin, die vuurwapen wil hy sien asseblief, dis 'n voorwaarde, hou hom waar ek hom kan sien. Okay, right, kom vir my om. Kelvin, hy wil asseblief, die kameraman wil die vuurwapen sien ten alle tye. Kyk, staan vir my hierso. Kom af. Kom af. Wat is dit, Kelvin? Kelvin, die man kan dit nie op 'n ander manier doen nie. Wat het jy gehoor?
Nee.
Dis niks nie, dis ek wat hier staan en opspring om met jou te praat. Okay, Kelvin, kan ek ou kom en gaan kyk of daar iemand daar binne is?
It's critical for JJ to coax Kelvin forward. The hidden team cannot rescue the hostage unless they can clearly see him.
Kelvin? Okay, jy moet vir my die deur kom oopsluit, né? Okay, kan ek inkom? Want ek kan nie inkom as die deur nie oop is nie, of kan jy laat die kameraman jou afneem? Hy vir my sê dis tevrede vandag.
Kyk, hier is ek vir seker, ons is seker. Praat met hom. Was hy trappie, Kelvin, laat jy nie afval daar nie.
You can hear what I'm hearing. There's nothing there, Kelvin. There's nothing.
No, there's no one there.
We can't get into the bank. No one. This is the only door.
You're the only people that got into the bank. We can't get into it.
What's he doing there?
Right. Wat is die vrek?
Right, here you go. Kom maar. Get him on. Mooi daar, mooi daar. Op jou maar.
The hostage taker is uninjured. The weapon he used turns out to be nothing but a realistic toy pistol.
Get a paramedic.
The guard is taken to another part of the bank. He is stunned, but unhurt.
You meant the negotiator. Yes, my mate. What is it?
Charlie Chaplin.
No, negotiator. Oh,
The bank guard is led out for treatment. Kelvin is taken away to be charged. Today, the task force were up against an amateur. Their next opponents, however, would prove to be much stiffer opposition. Tonight, the men are expecting a violent robbery in an exclusive restaurant. They arrive at base dressed in their best civvies to pose as diners.
What are you exactly, Stephen? There was that big noisy.
Last to arrive is the job's second-in-command, Marjan. Marjan brings his own interpretation of stylish evening wear.
Thanks. Because then you got a good view on the front door here.
As with all task force briefings, the planning is meticulous.
Right. These guys will be responsible to cut the robbers off as soon as they enter the building. Apparently there's 5 guys who have previously robbed the same restaurant, and they are all armed with 5 pistols, possibility of AK-47s, and the leader of this group, he killed a cop about 2 weeks ago, point blank, took his pistol and ran off.
It's 12 p.m. at the gang's intended target. and the task force have been here for the last 4 hours. Fearing some of the waiters may be informers for the gang, the men have locked the entire staff in the storeroom and confiscated their mobile phones. The task force members take up their positions. With the task force unit concealed outside, they radio Captain Vimpy with new information.
Currently there's six robbers outside.
Put your hands in there! Keep your hands where I can see them. Keep your hands where I can see them. Keep your hands where I can see them. Keep your hands where I can see them.
Zo is luchtje, net luchtje.
Sakkie. Keep your hands where I can see them. Creeper, come back. I can't move. You can't move. Fuck. Watch up. Come here. Come out. Come out. Probeer ons uit hulle hierso. Jy kan kom hoor. Roger.
As other task force members arrive, one robber is secured. Three armed suspects are on the loose, and the grounds are carefully searched.
Gaan vlug in, wie het medische kennis? Gaan draai net met daai ou op sy sy. Gaan draai net daai ou op sy sy asseblief Koenie. Jy het mos al eerste hulp gedoen. Hy daai een nou by die counter wat daar lê. They tried to rob this guy again for the third time, and as they came in, we shouted police, police, and the guys went for the guns. They pulled, and we had to try and stop them. So unfortunately it went out on a shooting, and we're still looking for some of the guys. They might be in the area around here. All right.
The paramedics tend to the wounded. 3 robbers were shot, 1 fatally. Their bullets had come a lot closer to the task force than first thought. 1 round had hit the counter, which had shielded Vimpy and Marjan. The unit have once again faced a situation the local police could not handle, and yet the special task force is paid exactly the same as the regular police. At times, the unit's work seems closer to fiction.
This is not a Hollywood film. This is the real thing. You can't arrest people who are shooting at you. You have to defend yourself first before you can arrest them. I've been hit by an AK-47, and this is what 1 bullet can do to you.
The most difficult part to live with a task force member is you never know what to expect. The one day he's at home, the other day he's gone on a job. You never know if he's coming back. You never know where he's going to.
He's never here. Of most of the time he's not here to look at my schoolwork or when I'm playing netball or dancing. And yes, I am scared of him being shot again.
I do feel proud he's working in the best unit in the police, but it's not, I don't think it's worth it.
Go!
The The Special Task Force is one of the best trained and most experienced elite police units in the world. The men are the pride of the South African police force, and hundreds apply every year. But how do you prove you are good enough to join them? These regular policemen are trying to join the unit. Today is the end of Phase 1, an intense 4 weeks of various stamina-building exercises.
Stand up straight. Stand up straight. Lift up your arm. Not like that. Huh? Pull it through.
Warren Morris has left Pretoria and is one of the course instructors.
Get dressed, you're wasting time.
Out of 350 applicants, just these 21 men remain.
Why, number 6, do you have a water bottle on your hip? Why? Why?
No water is allowed to be carried, as now the recruits must drink only when ordered to. Today is a make-or-break firearms test using live rounds.
This is your last chance. Your last chance, a third chance. You can't believe it, but yes, you get a third chance. You fail, you fail. All right, next. Go!
It isn't much better on the next range over.
Maar because ek weet nie wat jy doen nie. Daai plaas staan oop en bloot. Hy staan klip en 7 meter van hier af en skiet die boer op. Ja.
Close that, Hughes. They're waiting for you.
Back at the training camp, and 3 are told they have failed the firearms test and are going home. Now only 18 remain. The next phase has been nicknamed Vasbyt, Afrikaans for to bite down hard and never give up. The recruits have no idea that for the next 86 hours they will be allowed no food, no sleep, and be subjected to almost continuous marching.
This is a night march. It's basically to test stamina and endurance, between 30 and 40 kilometers that they will cover. They're carrying at the moment a relatively lightweight rucksack and a rifle.
But 4 hours into the march, the light rucksacks are swapped for a chunk of rail track, chain and ball. The combined weight is 50 kilos. It's been specifically designed to be impossible to comfortably carry. They will have to walk with this weight for 8 hours. As dawn breaks, the men have walked for 40 kilometers. The aim is to test the recruits' resistance to pain and frustration. Despite the extreme fitness of all the recruits, for one of them it has already become too much, and he's been taken off the course. The recruits immediately move on to an obstacle course from hell. Live ammunition is used at all times. This phase of Vasbyt is not only a physical test, but also a mental probe to expose all their fears. They must conquer their fear of heights and not freeze or panic under fire.
Stop fucking it while I get down!
By now, totally exhausted, the last hurdle to cross on the obstacle course is a swim across an overflowing dam. Once again, different levels of fear are tested. As day 2 draws to an end, the instructors relax back at training camp. The recruits, however, must endure the 40-kilometer march back from the dam. Arriving at the camp, there's no let-up. They're made to stay awake by making farmyard noises. An hour later, they're back on the march again, this time for 70 kilometers. The next morning, and the men haven't slept or eaten for 56 hours. They arrive just in time for breakfast. As the instructors tuck in, the recruits sit and watch.
Nice.
One instructor decides to spoil the recruits with a lamb chop. That's one piece of meat shared between 17 men. After a few minutes rest, the men continue on.
No, I don't feel sorry for them. I've got a sense of understanding. I know what they're going through. And it gives you a sense of pride because you know that they are giving their best and going through hell just to get what we've got already.
At dawn, the instructors have their hands full, keeping the 17 awake.
Hey! What the?
The recruits have now had no sleep for 80 hours. Advanced sleep deprivation is an essential test. Because of their specialist role, the task force often work for several days without a break. For the repeat sleep offender, instructors wedge a sharpened stick under his nose. The recruits limp back to base with their spirits slightly lifted as they sense their ordeal is over. The 17 have covered 200 kilometers and have not slept or eaten in 4 days.
Congratulations, you have passed the second phase, which was called frostbite, into the dam, all of you. Now!
These men still have another 6 months of rigorous selection to go. They can fail at any time. But for the men already in the task force, the work continues. The task force had information that these suspects were on their way to attack a 70-year-old white farmer and his wife. In the last 5 years in South Africa, over 600 white farmers have been murdered. Hardened criminals here have little respect for life or the law. Every 36 hours, a policeman is killed in South Africa. Despite facing the most dangerous work in the country, the task force have had just one of their members killed in action. With South Africa the most violent democracy in the world, the men always have another situation to go to.